And if you think a warm December is all lies, then you are ready for this episode of Discography Discussion. I am Joe, that is Dan, that is Geoff. It's the finale of Nu Metal May, gentlemen.
Hallelujah.
Oh, man.
And we are talking about Third Strike and The Fifth Element tonight.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a creature feature for you guys tonight. It's a double feature. See, sometimes you have bands that you like, and they only put out one album. Sometimes maybe that's a good thing, just, judging how some bands' careers ended up going, Mudvayne, and...
oh, no, there was more than one good album.
Well, yeah, that's true, but...
There was 1 3/4.
Right, there you go. Well, yeah, so, we did a creature feature last year, and we'll do them every now and again, roll them out. This week, we just have 2 bands that me and Joe especially are really passionate about.
Well, I'm passionate about one of them.
Ouch, that hurts my feelings.
It's going to. I know it will.
Oh, man. Well, we're going to get all into that, but first we got to go over some feedback.
Well, before we get into listener feedback, I want to take this time to say thank you to everyone for listening to the podcast. Thank you for listening and for subscribing. If you are not a subscriber, you can find everything Discography Discussion at discussmetal.com. We are on Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, so if you have an Amazon Echo or a Google Home, you have no excuse. Ask it to play the latest episode of the Discography Discussion podcast, and it will. We're also on Facebook and on Twitter at Discuss Metal. Be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe. It really helps us out. It lets us know you're listening. And now Dan is going to tell us all about 5-star reviews.
We love 5-star reviews here on Discography Discussion, and we've got something in the works for you guys. We've decided that if we can get at least 10 new reviews on our Apple Podcast or Facebook page, we will tally them up. So 5 on one, 5 on the other. That's still 10 as far as my math tells me. So
Dan can do math. It's impressive.
So if we get 10 reviews within the next month, in the spirit of Nu Metal May, we're going to record a nu metal cover song that was made famous by Limp Bizkit. It is actually a cover, and the song is called Faith.
So we're going to do a cover of a cover?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to go right back to George Michael. Or maybe I'll just do Dr. Claw the whole time. I have no idea.
Jeff's either going to do it like George Michael or like Dr. Claw. I'm going to do it probably like Fred Durst.
Can I do it as Papa Amaritas from the band Ghost?
Oh,
absolutely. So that is
so what
3 cover
is
songs for the price of 1.
Yeah, Joe's is going to be shit is what he's saying.
Only if you haven't accepted the Lord and Master Satan.
You do that too well sometimes. It's funny.
That's something that's going to be kind of incentive for you guys. So if you do it, you'll get that cover song. If you don't do it, wah, wah, wah. But thank you so much for everybody that has left reviews. We will read them on the show, even during this contest. So we really would appreciate your guys' honest feedback on what we've been doing. And if there's anything you think we can do better, we will try to do so.
So we got a tweet from Daniel Buchanan. Recently started listening to the podcast. Enjoying everything so far. For May and the backlog I'm checking out too. Good stuff. Have you guys discussed Drowning Pool yet? Dave's death and the numerous replacements to follow? Well, it's on the list now.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to it eventually.
Yeah, I know we, talking about Drowning Pool, Dave's mic is actually with the lead singer of El Nino. They were real tight. And we just did an El Nino episode, so you should go back and check that one out if you haven't yet, because that was a band that toured an awful lot with Drowning Pool back in the day.
Yeah, we also got another comment from Derek Solberg on Facebook. And it says, new listener recommended by Roach Coach and Toomey. So I'm still catching up on the episodes. Love what you guys are doing. Another pod I look forward to every week. Would be interested in a Disturbed and a Demon Hunter episode somewhere down the line. Agreed with everything in this episode except that I still enjoyed Found and Lost.
Oh.
After that, it took a shit. Keep up the fun. Good work.
Well, we can agree on the took a shit part.
Yeah, that was in reference to our Mudvayne episode. Thank you, Derek. I appreciate having you as a listener, man.
We got a YouTube comment. This is from Slay Tongue, also about Mudvayne. Chad's clean vocals in the first 2 albums is insane. Started to lose it in Lost and Found, then was gone forever after that. I'm not going to say it was gone, but it definitely wasn't what we came to know and love about his performance.
I think he means it in the way that I took it is that almost like the dude damaged his voice. I don't think, kind of like how Steven Tyler could never go back to what he did in the past because he fucked up his voice so much.
Or he just lost the passion.
I don't know about that. I mean, he's loving the paycheck from Hell Yeah, so, and he sounds like shit there too.
Very true. So stay tuned for the Hell Yeah episode.
Just slid that one right in there, Geoff, didn't you?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I did.
Speaking of El Nino, we got a tweet from AC, Alt1. Great episode. Probably one of my favorites. Dan made a good point about One Nation Underground. It really did push the boundaries of nu metal. How hard can you go before you're out of nu metal and into something else? Metalcore? I went to their tour back in 2016 where they performed Revolution Revolution in its entirety. Hell
Sick.
yes.
That's awesome.
Needless to say, it was fantastic. And Joe listening to Does This Look Infected? Fuck yeah! I've spun that album and Chuck hundreds of times. Definitely in favor of a Sum 41 episode. I will add that to the list as we speak.
Nice. That'd be a fun episode. I mean, I know they get shit on a lot, but they're a fun band.
Yeah, they really are. There's so much more metal in Sum 41 than you would think on the surface.
I know.
Because I think most people think pop punk band, but I mean, Chuck was predominantly thrash metal, you know, and but it had that fun Sum 41 spin to it.
Yeah, at one point, I mean, there was a real reason why Rob Halford said that they were the future of metal. He really did, Rob really did believe that. Just it didn't come to fruition as we hoped it would. I think Brown Brigade had a lot to do with that whenever they had that split, but
possible, yeah.
I really do. Because I think he was the big driving force behind on how technical and how metal they were for a while there. Anyway, that'd be a fun episode to do. Because I'd love to get into a little bit of Brown Brigade too while we're talking Sum 41.
That'd be cool.
One more. We got a YouTube comment on our Slipknot episode 61. This is from 2017. Slipknot uses goats because you're either a goat or a sheep. Nothing to do with Satan. LOL. Well, I mean, that depends. Sometimes you need goats. For reasons.
I just thought it was because they were from Iowa.
Goats.
I think that's what I said on the episode. That it had more to do with Iowa than Satan.
I thought it was goats because they were the greatest of all times.
So, Dan.
What's up?
Tell me about Third Strike.
Oh, Third Strike. I used to describe Third Strike as the not shitty POD. Because they played a... they didn't... Okay, so it's a pretty...
that SoCal sound?
No,
SoCal new metal?
No, I'm looking for the right word. It is a superficial similarity in the sense that they both played nu metal with rapping predominantly as the lead vocal. I thought the singer was better. I thought the lyrics were a little bit more intense. It's not to say that POD didn't have intense lyrics at times, but with Third Strike, man, you've got a powerhouse band, super tight, and they just knew how to write a good song. They knew how to write a good hook, and they threw the rapping in. And even listening to it in 2018, I don't think that it comes off as cheesy. I think it actually has aged better than a lot of rap rock from that time aged.
Yeah, Third Strike is... it was a totally forgotten band for me. I listened to it quite a bit back in the day. Didn't even think about it. And then Dan's like, hey, we're doing a Third Strike. And I'm like, I can't find it. And he's like, no, it's the number 3 RD. I'm like, oh, okay. Because I wrote out Third, and it's a totally different band. And then so I'm listening to it, and I'm like, oh, shit. I forgot. These guys were really good back in the day. And then I started going down the rabbit hole. And one of our favorite producers actually produced the album, which was...
Toby Wright.
Toby Wright.
We'll see you in a couple months, sir.
Yep. So that was exciting because I'm a big Alice in Chains fan. It was good to hear something else of his. The other thing, too, Jim Corthy, I think is how you say his last name. He's got an extended Metallica connection. He was in a band with the original bassist before Cliff, that is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, after he left Metallica. And Jim was actually the drummer in the band. So I thought that was kind of fun because I know we got some Metallica fans in our audience. I figured enjoy having that. What was that? Phantasm, I think, was the thrash band that he was with back in the day.
I've definitely been looking forward to talking about Third Strike since we first started doing the podcast. When we originally tried to answer the question about how do we talk about a band that only put out one record, Third Strike was one of the bands that we mentioned. And we played with it for a little while, and we decided to try the double feature, which we did last year with Atom Ship and Death Therapy. But we always said we wanted to talk about Third Strike and the Fifth Element together. One from Southern California, the other from St. Louis. The Third Strike is my favorite nu metal band. They exhibit every characteristic of a good nu metal band. They're not cheesy. They have two guitarists. Neither one wants to play lead. The drummer is in the groove, in the pocket. The bass player can do whatever he wants, and you come back to them. Every song on this album is memorable. Some of them less than others. But this is one of those records that when I first got it, I started listening to it, and then I realized I was on track 10 and I wanted more. One thing about Third Strike specifically is they are the only positive nu metal band I can think of. Every other band was about partying, getting high, getting drunk, getting fucked. This one was about all this shit that I went through to get to where I am today. I'm going to tell you about it so it doesn't happen to you. Not a Christian band. I've heard that accusation.
I don't know, man. I'm going to step in on that for a second. And, I don't think it's a Christian band by any means, but there's definitely some spiritual stuff in what he says. You know, he talks about God on the album a bit. But, again, it's not really like a preaching thing. I think this is was just similar to Soulfly. There's spiritual things in there that are unique to him.
Much like Zao, this is just what he wanted to write about.
Exactly.
Well, the dude, I don't know if you guys know, between his early thrash days and whenever Third Strike came out, I mean, the dude essentially like ran the streets, lived on the streets, you know, part of the gang culture, and you know, dude had a pretty rough life.
It was not, it wasn't the white suburban mindset that most nu metal seemed to have come from.
Right. I mean, and I think that's part of the reason why I liked it so much is like it was real, I guess is the best way to put it. I believed, even if you're not even listening to the lyrics, which I am prone to do, you believe everything that he's saying because of how emotional he is about whatever it is that he is talking about. He's got so much passion in his voice that you know it really resonates. And I'm with Joe. This is like one of my favorite nu metal bands of all time. I was really excited once I realized who in the hell it was that we were covering, because once No Light came on, I was like, oh shit, it's that band. It was one of the few nu metal / metal bands I get to, when I was younger, early in my marriage, that I actually was allowed to play, because Denise actually likes these guys, and I'm like, all right, I'll play it. And it just kind of fell by the wayside as time went by, whenever nu metal kind of fell out of favor. But like Dan said, these guys aged really, really well. I mean, this music is still good. It's really, really good.
Yeah, this band is definitely in my top 5 on nu metal bands.
Agreed.
Because there's nothing compromised here. There's nothing that's held back. They are heavy when they need to be heavy. They are more soulful when they need to be soulful. Yeah, I didn't say soft, because I don't think anything that this band talks about really could be considered soft or trite or cheesy or anything. I mean, it definitely is coming from the perspective of somebody who has seen some shit. And but again, for some reason, like, it's all about self-improvement, and we kind of follow his journey into enlightenment, so to speak, through these songs. And it's unfortunate that he's no longer with us. That's the most bittersweet part of the whole thing. Is they just, and nobody really knows what happened with him. I think he was just found dead. It wasn't It was
natural causes.
Yeah, he wasn't killed. It wasn't a drug overdose. It wasn't anything like that. We literally just found him unresponsive in his home, and it sucks.
I remember the week he died. I actually had a MySpace correspondence with him. Shows you how far back that goes. Third Strike put out this record. They toured for a couple of years, and then they were no more. And then one day, because this is how MySpace worked back in the day, I was searching for bands that I knew. And here popped up Third Strike with a picture that I had never seen, and it was Jim Conte. And I pulled up the music player, for those that remember MySpace in all of its musical glory. And there was this song that I had never heard. So I sent them just a quick message. And I remember being really happy because there were a lot of bands at the time that put out one record and then disappeared. Pulse Ultra, Atom Ship, Third Strike. Bands that I liked. And it at least looked like they were going to be doing new music. And I sent him a message and said, hey man, I just wanted to let you know that I'm really happy that you guys are coming back and working on new music. And I do not remember word for word what he wrote back, but it was something about how we are in a good place now, but we got to finish this record first. And then a couple days later, we found out that he was dead.
Yeah, it's rough, man.
And it's like, your band is almost perfect for the genre that you're in. You take a break, you come back, and then you're gone. I wonder, does that mean that natural causes actually just makes it worse?
Oh, yeah, because
then
there's just a random
There's
thing
no
that
reason
happened.
for it. It sucks, man.
But, I mean, at least he got his shit together.
Yeah,
You know,
he
before,
did.
I mean, he went out on the high ground.
Yeah,
know?
I know through like all of the ups and downs, him and the guitarist, I believe it was one of the guitarists, they kind of like went through the whole ups and downs together throughout the entire band. And even before they came up with the name Third Strike, they were still doing shit together. You know, it's just kind of an outlet. And this is as close to a perfect new metal album as you can get, in my opinion. This is easily my favorite album that we've done out of all of the albums for New Metal May. And I don't think it's even remotely close. It's that good. I think it's damn near just perfect new metal album.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it is pretty damn close to perfect. It's funny because when Roach Coach covered it, one of their criticisms of it, which I thought was kind of funny, was that it was too perfect. I don't know how you can really describe something as being too perfect, but damn it, they found a way.
Well, I have been quoted as saying this is the definition of new metal.
So, what they think is just overproduced? Is that their meaning of too perfect?
Yeah, maybe a little too smooth. You know what I mean? Like
But
you know,
that's
the
why I
Joneses
like-
across the street that have all the money and the perfect family and all that stuff. Like, there is maybe something, at least to them, I don't feel this way, but maybe to them it kind of felt that way, that it was just too smooth.
So they're jealous.
They're jealous. That's right, guys. The Roach Coach crew is fucking jealous of Third Strike. But they did read Joe's thoughts on the band before the podcast. So, I mean, in my personal opinion, just listen to what Joe said, turn it off, and you're good.
He's most definitely kidding, Mr. Nas. Please don't delete us from the internet.
Right, yep.
I just think that means that Toby did his job.
See, I really, I like some songs more than others.
The cover is probably my least favorite song
man.
on here.
Well, you are
Well-
fundamentally right and wrong at the same time.
Blind My Eyes, definitely one of my favorites. I love Lies. I love Cities on Fire. Love Strung Out. And, yeah, then there's that cover song.
Yeah, that was definitely the weak spot on here.
It was played differently, and they made some type of change that brought it into their style. The hip-hop bridge, I believe that's what it was this time.
Yeah, it was definitely beefed up from the original, which I appreciated. And I liked the way the music sounded on it. And really, I had no issue with the singing because, yeah, I mean, his singing, he does a really good Ozzy. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
The only thing is, though, is that, man, that fucking rap core break in the middle of it just killed so much emotion for me. It is the only moment on the album that I would say does, in fact, sound kind of cheesy. Because you're taking a heavy metal classic and you're throwing rap vocals over the top of it with turntable scratches and the whole bit. And it's just like, holy shit, guys. I mean, how did you think this was going to go over?
I mean, I liked it.
Yeah.
Do you think that
But
that
you're
was
also wrong.
Do you think kind of like Alien Ant Farm Smooth Criminal that it was written or put on the album as a chance to be a single, as something that they could have skyrocketed them higher. Because even though we're shitting on it in 2018, the rap part may not have been as badly interpreted back when this came out as it is now.
No, it was, because, like I said, this album, when it was first out, got a lot of airplay in my house. And
the single, No Light. Ooh.
All Eyes.
All Eyes, yeah, that's a good one.
That's really, really good. I'm showing my lack of good memory, but I actually paid attention to lyrics on one of the songs, so I'm going to be leaning on Dan for this. One of the songs, they were talking about how, I was thinking it's All Lies, but they were talking about how, everything that you hear about, like how gangs are family and they take care of their own and it's all a bunch of bullshit.
Oh, that was Breathe It Out.
Is that Breathe It Out?
Whenever he's like, before you kill your brother and you think that makes you a man, try to tell his mother why she'll never see your son again.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So
remember what I said about Positive?
That is probably my favorite song on here.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And it's as weird as it sounds, it's actually because of the lyrics.
Man.
Wow.
One of the things about this record that I like is the positivity. And I like that lyric we just talked about, how he kind of calls the gang mentality out for what it is, for being hypocrisy and just being an excuse for violence, and kind of going through those consequences that he's experienced in real life, and that all that comes together as a very sincere, heartfelt record.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's kind of like groundbreaking that Geoff likes a song on an album the most because of the lyrics, but it straight up, like, it hit home for whatever reason. Like, I believed him. That was when I was back going through and listening to this again. That's the song on this album that really sold me, that made me realize, this dude's had it rough, and he's speaking from the heart, and it really just made everything on this album more believable. And just made me want to connect with the guy even more. And it just makes it, like we said earlier, makes it suck, that he's not with us anymore. I mean, it's incredibly depressing, because I think there's so much more that could have been done.
Would that be your final thought on this band?
Yeah, it would. I mean, I love that song. I mean, that song hit me straight in the feels, man.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That was one of the, after I heard No Light, I thought that was a cool song, and then they actually did play Breathe It Out on the radio, and that was what I was like, okay, I have to get this album, and was not disappointed really at all, and still listen to it to this day. I mean, it is literally one of the greatest albums I've ever heard in this genre, and I wouldn't say it's the best one we've talked about this month, but it definitely, it's definitely up there, man.
It's for me. And I think for Joe, it's the best that we've talked about this month.
I have said it. Third Strike will not be the most popular band to headline the definitive nu metal show, but they are one of the contenders for the most nu metal band of all time. And I think it's good music, and I want everybody that hasn't listened to it to listen to it, and anyone that has and thought it was kind of cheesy to give it another chance.
Yeah, it's not cheesy. It's one of the few times I'll tell you to listen to the lyrics, and you'll realize that this is real music. I mean, this guy is talking about real things that have happened to him, and he's dealing with them. Yeah, it's lyrically is one of my favorite albums that we've done on the podcast so far, which is crazy.
In 2017, Decibel Geek brought us Rock N Pod Expo in Nashville, Tennessee. This summer, they're doing it again. Rock N Pod Expo 2 on August 25th. Tell us about it, Dan.
We couldn't be more thrilled to be appearing at Rock N Pod this year. In an effort to help support this amazing event, we are throwing in some perks for you guys to help raise the funds necessary to make this event happen. A $35 donation on behalf of Discography Discussion to the Rock N Pod Expo gets you a limited edition Discography Discussion hand-painted beer glass and the option to choose what band we talk about in an upcoming episode of the podcast. This also includes your admission to the expo, access to an exclusive podcast made only for contributors contributors to the event, and we can't wait to meet some of you guys there in person. We'll be hanging out, chatting all day. Keep in mind on these perks, there are only 3 of them available, so act fast, and we hope to see you there.
So, Dan, tell me about The Fifth Element.
The Fifth Element is a fantastic science fiction thriller starring Bruce Willis.
Yes, and Mila Jovovich.
Yeah.
And Gary Oldman.
Yeah, it was great movie. Pretty cool.
Yeah, started my crush with Mila Jovovich.
Yep. So that's it.
Yep. Oh, the band. I think he means the band.
The band, The Fifth Element. Okay.
Yeah.
Same spelling. See, if you Google The Fifth Element, you're only going to get the movie. So don't even try. Anyway, The Fifth Element was a nu metal, almost hardcore band from St. Louis, Missouri that was active around 2000 to 2003, I want to say. And this is a pretty mind-blowing band for me. I saw them live a few times, and they used to play this song called Recreational War Games, which was, at the time, a pretty damn intense song. This is not how local bands from St. Louis sounded typically. And so I really liked how heavy the band was. I liked their turntables. I even liked the clean vocals. But what I did really like was the screams. This band had screams in spades. And they were a huge influence on me. And that's why I tell everybody this is my favorite nu metal album, even if it's not necessarily the best one that's
because
out
it's
there.
not.
It is my favorite. So tread lightly.
What Dan said about not being able to find it was completely accurate. So he shared like 64K like MP3s that sounded like shit with me.
Oh, those were the MP3s from your old laptop.
Oh,
probably,
God.
yeah,
Dude.
I should have done a lossless.
Yeah, and that might, if you've listened to this podcast enough, you know that I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to audio quality. And it was almost to the point of unlistenable just because of how shitty it was. So I didn't know if it was that or if it was production quality. And talking,
does it sound better in your headphones now?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely, it does sound better on my headphones than it did at home, where I could tell everything that was wrong. And I'm like, God, this production quality is the worst of any band that we've ever listened to on Discography Discussion.
Really, worse than Ganglia?
But we haven't covered Ganglia
We
yet.
haven't covered Ganglia.
Well, we've listened to it in this studio together.
But I also might have had a few too many beers and just thought it was fucking crazy, and that's why I enjoyed it.
Well, you can at least hear Ganglia really well.
Yes.
So there's that.
It's good. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Strong stance there, Geoff.
It's average. And in coming from St. Louis at that time, we'd take average because it's nothing but butt rock in St. Louis.
Especially in 2002.
Yeah, so, average here, coming from here, means you're a fucking god.
See, I feel like this band, if they, cleaned up a little bit and had better production and had gotten really good promotion, I think they could have been, up there with the El Niños of the world.
Really?
They definitely were heavy enough. Their screams are just ungodly crazy for the kind of music that they play. And I think that there are times where they do break that. There are times where I think they go over the line and go from this nu metal sound into that more hardcore, almost metalcore sound.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Like you said, the screams are good. Actually, I like the harmonizing on the vocals for the most part as well. It's just whenever he's out on an island, he sounds like a whiny little bitch.
Says the guy listening to emo.
Yeah, I know. How about that? The only whiny little bitch in my life is Jeremy Enoch.
See, the only problem I have with this record is it goes from being really melodic, really heavy, the screaming vocals kick in, and then about halfway through the phrase, he turns into mashed potato mouth. And that's the part of the screaming genre of vocals that I say, no, it's actually not good. Because now, no matter what you write on that sheet of paper, you're not actually saying it. It's the same argument I have with black metal. When you're inhaling this low guttural tone and then you give me 5 paragraphs on a sheet of paper, you're not saying any of that. You might be thinking it while you're expelling that guttural tone, but you're not actually saying it.
I think you're thinking about grindcore there. Black metal's just balls in a vice grip and then being stabbed in the nipples with ice picks. my brief moments with black metal.
Yeah, I think I'm probably the biggest connoisseur of black metal in the room.
No.
No?
You have no idea how far down the rabbit hole goes, my friend.
Okay. Well, you said you're brief, and I'm like, well, I've been listening to black metal for almost 20 years. So.
Okay, so here's... I get what Joe's saying about it being mashed potato mouth. Like, it goes nowhere. That doesn't bother me as much. Because I can still make out what he's saying for the most part. But he's kind of got that Aaron Lewis in the old Stained albums, the way he used to scream. It's a very similar tone. It's a very similar pronunciation.
I dug that though.
Yeah, and it's hard, but it's gotta hurt. Like I said, I don't think it's proper technique at all. But this was still kind of a pseudo new metal hardcore thing, so they didn't really know what they were going for. I do think that there are moments where the screamed vocals are more brutal than are called for by the music.
It's always, for you, it's always been the more brutal, the better.
Well, yeah, if the band was brutal enough to accompany what the guy was screaming, it'd be fine. You know, like I think these this sounds like this guy that's screaming right now could go off and join you name a metalcore band. Yeah, easily. Like, I mean, there's no question. However, I think that the way he screams doesn't necessarily match the sound of the band, because the band still has that new metal, almost funky tone to the way they play. They've got the turntables in, you know, and a lot of people say the same thing about Slipknot, that they think Corey Taylor, but I think Slipknot's music is crazy enough to match the intensity of what Corey's throwing down.
Yeah, where this is just like run-of-the-mill new metal as far as musically.
It's new metal with a metalcore guy screaming over it.
But I think we just hit on why it's your favorite new metal band.
It's my life. Well, it's my life story, man. Like, seriously, when I was trying to start bands around this time, everybody played new metal. So, but like, I had been developing my screams over time. So had I sat down in a studio and recorded an album with a band back in 2002, this is exactly what it would have fucking sounded like. We would have had some smooth singer, you know, doing all the cleans, Joe. And then I would have just been mashed potato mouth over the whole thing. You know, we need to make that into a fucking t-shirt, like, right now.
Oh, that's, yeah.
Mashed potato mouth, and we'll just make this, like, dude out of mashed potatoes.
Rock N Pod Expo 2018.
Yeah, I think that's Joe's best catchphrase of the podcast.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We need to make that happen.
Absolutely, that's my word. Absolutely.
Absolutely. What I like about this record is that it's really dynamic, in that there's a lot of different genres present here. There's a little bit of butt rock. There's a little bit of hardcore. There's a little bit of metalcore. It's mostly new metal. I'd say it falls in there. But I hear a lot of different bands in this band. I hear Cold. I hear Slipknot. I hear a little bit of Il Nino. Hear even a little bit of 311 every now and again. It's not pulled off as well, but they try.
No, it's a local band. It's a local band with a little bit of money who spent some time in a studio. It's good for what it is. I enjoy it, and the only real negative I have with it is either the result of not enough time or not enough talent. Either way, I don't care. It's not a deal breaker. It's a fucking good record.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy this. I'm sorry that Geoff didn't get good quality. I'll just burn him an X-Acto copy and go from there.
Yeah, maybe we can revisit it at some point on a Patreon episode, and I'll have a different perspective.
We'll call it Geoff's Redemption. Red Geoff's Redemption. But no, this record holds a special place in my heart, and I'm not going to try to sell like it's the best thing in the world, because it's not. But at the same time, it is a good record that flows. And I feel like there were a lot of bands that were a lot more popular than The Fifth Element that did a lot better that they shouldn't have.
Yeah, sometimes it's just about opportunity and who you know, and
that's what it's always about. Yeah. Contrary to popular belief.
Right.
It has nothing to do with talent.
It has nothing to do with how good you are, man. There are tons of bands that no one's ever heard of that are way better than your favorite band. And no, I thought this was cool. I thought this was next level stuff. My favorite songs were Recreational War Games, Daniel Pants on Fire, because, my name's in it. I really liked Pill Whore.
That's a good one. Even New
Yep.
Day is good. It's got a great album open. It just hits you as hard as it possibly can.
And it's one of those stupid new metal things where, since it's the Fifth Element, when you put the CD in, the first 4 tracks are silent.
We got
And then the first
you
song
have to
starts
start on track 5.
Yeah. It's not the first element. It's not the second element.
It's not even the third or fourth.
The sixth element is way out.
So the fifth element is the element of surprise.
If you get to the sixth element, you've gone too far. But I really have no clue what happened to this band. As far as I can tell, I know they used to play a lot of shows with Calico System back in the day.
Wow,
do you guys
that's
remember
a name from my past.
Well, Calico System did it. They started off as a new metal band, and they went into the hardcore genre and did a lot better for themselves when they got there. But the Fifth Element was right on their coattails. But yeah, they were really, I mean, for me, they were one of the most important local bands that we had. And then one day they were just gone. And the only thing I really know is that I know that the lead singer of the Fifth Element has played in the band Soul Embraced before. And he was actually going to be starting a side project with Rocky Gray of Soul Embraced, because who hasn't collaborated with that guy? And they were going to, and I think he was going to sing. So I may have gotten a spiritual successor to the Fifth Element, but it would have just been the clean vocals, because when I saw him live, the lead singer was not the one doing the brutal vocals. It was one of the other members.
Oh, okay.
Which is pretty common back then, you know?
Right.
You don't want to hurt that. You don't want to hurt that voice. Because even though he's a little bit off sometimes on this record, I think with a little bit of vocal training, they could have cleaned him up considerably, and you would have sounded great, you know? But yeah, I had no problem with it back then. I have no problem with it now. And I just wanted to throw that into New Metal May because, you know, whenever it's like, oh, they're talking about new metal, one of the things we like about our show is that we hope sometimes that we can introduce people to bands they've never heard of before. And so to be able to pull an obscure new metal band out is kind of our deal. So
yeah, it's fun. I mean, a lot, because I didn't know much about the Fifth Element before we did this episode. So I mean, it's not just where it's our audience. A lot of times it's the members. Like I'm pretty sure that I tortured both of these guys with Viljarta, but
what was that again?
Viljarta or get out of my yard, ta.
Gotcha. Get out of my yard. Nice.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say, Geoff, what are your final thoughts on New Metal May?
I'm excited it's over. I tell you what, there's something in me that's changed in the year and a half that I've done this podcast. I think I've been corrupted. Dan has made me like everything that's brutal and vicious, and I don't have a whole lot of space for anything that's pretty anymore. And there's just too much prettiness in new metal for me nowadays. You know, I don't know. It was a nice trip down memory lane for the most part, but I don't want to revisit it all the time.
Once a year.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Sometimes in October.
Well, every now and again, we're going to obviously review a new metal band as a normal part of the show, but
yeah,
a lot of those bands didn't stay new metal for long, is the trend I'm noticing.
Yeah, and thankfully so, because some of those bands became, pretty good. Like El Nino is a prime example of. I really actually. Yeah, I really enjoyed their discography. Once they moved away from new metal. So yeah, I mean there is that part of it. It's nice being able to see that progression and that change, but that also lets you know that there was just some producer that was looking for the next big buck that was like, hey, you guys need to play this way. And then after that phase is done, then the band gets to go and produce on a smaller label and do things the way that they want.
They kind of play ball with the mainstream so that they can continue to support what they're doing.
Right.
But then beyond that, they just kind of do whatever they want.
Right. So what about you, Dan?
I really enjoyed Il Nino like Geoff did. I enjoyed Mudvayne quite a bit as well, at least at the beginning. That was a fun trip down memory lane. I think with new metal, for me, I have come to appreciate it similar to what Geoff said, in the past year and a half, I have changed a lot as far as, back in episode 1 when we were talking about Metallica, there's no way I would have agreed to do an entire month dedicated to nu metal. I would have been like, no, that's not what we want to do. That's not our show. But thanks to podcasts like Roach Coach and Talk to Me, they've kind of made me realize that, hey, there's a lot of this stuff that I did like, and it is part of my growth as a music reviewer. So I give it the time of day now. It's not really my regular rotation. I mean, me and Geoff can attest. I've been listening to a lot of really brutal shit in between these, just to kind of just to kind of remember. But what I've come away from this May is that nu metal is just a different kind of heavy, and it just kind of exists off in its own space.
I think if you're one of those people that likes to say music never got better than when I grew up, if you ever needed an example of that not being true, welcome to Nu Metal May, because music definitely got better after nu metal. But I enjoyed it, and I still enjoy it. It's still the foundation for a lot of my musical tastes, a lot of my musical techniques. The fact that I like to play all things heavy metal and rock at the same time started with nu metal. And I enjoy being able to sit down and listen to music that is the music we grew up with. It's not the greatest. It's definitely not the most influential, but it's enjoyable. And it's nice in 2018 to see the music coming back and people starting to accept it for what it was, which is just enjoyable. And I want everybody to enjoy nu metal. So what's your album of the week, Dan?
Let It Enfold You by Senses Fail. That's right.
Geoff, what about you?
I'm definitely going to cheat because I'm only going to do one song. So it's by our buddies in American Standards, Weep. That is a great song. So
that is definitely cheating.
It's well worth it. Like on the way to Mike's last night, I had it on repeat and listened to it like 6 times in a row. So that's almost a full EP of a single song. So,
well, it's Nu Metal May. It's a Creature feature. We talked about Third Strike and The Fifth Element. So I'm 99.9% sure my album of the week is going to be Lost Angel by Third Strike.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a cop-out too, but we'll take it. That's a great album, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
And on that note, this has been episode 66 of Discography Discussion. Thank you for listening. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at discussmetal. Subscribe to our podcast everywhere you listen to podcasts, including Google Play, iTunes, and Stitcher. Visit discussmetal.com for all things discography discussion, and please send questions and comments to danandjoeshow@gmail.com. If you are not a patron, you can become one at patreon.com/discussmetal. We have some sweet perks.
Give me your money.